Good evening, race fans. My name is Philippe Timmons on behalf of Team Green Squad, presenting round 10 of the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series every Tuesday night, sponsored by Bookkicker. Here tonight, we're at Talladega Super Speedway, the jewel of the crown, if you like. Daytona and Talladega being the quickest tracks on the calendar here tonight, but as always, broadcasted live 1080p 60 frames a second by the Team Goon Squad network. 1 hour long races, no fast repairs, great races with great attitudes here tonight. So then, as we move on to qualifying, Garrett Hall seems to be the man of the hour at the moment with a 53.6 top in the table at the moment. Coming to the end here, we'll bring up the NASCAR tower. On the left-hand side, you can see where your favourite drivers are placed. Not quite sure why some of the names are overlapping, but we'll ignore that one for the time being. It looks like, though, Dominic DeLeo will be a second man at the moment, setting a time 2 thousandths of a second slower than Garrett Hall, just missing out on that pole position here tonight. We just have around about a minute and 20 seconds remaining. David Reed tops the table with a 53.67, matching Garrett Hall's time, but it was marginally quicker. Although at Talladega Speedway, it is not qualifying that matters really. Because, you know, you can get involved in a wreck. Anywhere kind of in the mid-pack near to the front is where most of the incidents are going to happen. And if you're near to the front, you want to be right at the front of it. You want to be in front of all of it so you don't have to get collected. That's why the drivers want to qualify high, but it doesn't matter as much because qualifying, you know, it isn't really a true representative of your pace, especially at tracks like this. You're just flat all the way around, trying to keep it as tight as possible and just carry the most amount of speed you can through the corners. Obviously, with a track like this, it's not quite like your Charlotte's. It's not quite a mile and a half or a mile. It's very, you know, there isn't much skill involved in qualifying. The skill is involved in the race on how you manage the draft. Going back though, with the championship situation at the moment, Jared Reed, not David Reed, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, Jared Reed at the front of the pack currently with 255 points, leading the championship after just gaining it back from Nick Leo, 250 points, 5 points behind in second place. However, though, Dominic DeLeo, our dark horse, the championship, 246 points, only 9 points behind the leader, sitting in third place. So he's kind of sitting under the radar a little bit. After winning last week's race, it's really pumped him up in the points. But we also have a Greg Mitchell with 240 points, which is only 250 points behind our current leader, which does mean that we could have a four-way battle for the lead of the championship. However, though, this race will define it. Because it's so late on in the season, we only have a couple or a few races remaining of the season. So a good result here is absolutely mandatory to keep yourself in the running for the championship. However, though, qualifying has finished and we can go through our grid for today's night. So, David Reed coming home with a 53.665, putting out on pole, followed by Garrett Hall in second place, Dominic DeLeo in third, Kevin Haas starting fourth, Stephen Gibson starting fifth, Nick Leo starting sixth, Nick Vasquez starting 7th, Jake Bonoski starting 8th, Aaron Sayer followed by Tim Johnston, Matt Kleeman, Butch Taylor rolling off in the number 12 spot, followed by Greg Mitchell in 13th, Jared Reed starting in 14th, Carter Lynn starting in 15th, and Colton Lanford starting in 16th place here tonight. I will roll out your grid for today's race. However, though, not a driver we see a lot on pole, David Reed. The father of our championship leader at the moment, the 52 machine, looks to be in pretty strong suit. But as we said before, qualifying isn't representative really of the pace that you're at. So really, we could be looking at Nick Leo. However, though, Jared Reed starting all the way down in 14th here tonight is definitely not the position you would have wanted to start in. Because especially leading the championship, every single point matters at this point with only a 5-second gap, or 5-point gap, excuse me. So it is very, very, very important that he does try and maximise points and get through the field and just finish ahead. But he can't take too many risks, because if he risks a retirement here and being crashed out of the race, that could almost put him out of the running for the championship if Nick Leo can do the opposite. So he needs to be very, very careful on how he manages this race, but also he needs to get up there nice and quickly to leave himself with a good amount of points to finish the race. So now rolling on to our one and only pace lap here tonight to begin our 60-lap race in the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series coming out of Turn 2. You can see the pack. Now then, with Talladega, if you haven't seen some races here, you know that it kind of goes too wide very quickly. Sometimes it may go too wide depending on how the race goes. However, though, you tend to have two main lanes, the inside and the outside. At tracks like this, the inside may have just a slight run. That says a shorter distance on the inside compared to the outside. However, drivers on the outside can connect the draft up properly. They can get an absolute chonker of an exit and then take up all the gains that the inside line had and then gain all the way down a straight out of turn 2 and turn 4. So it's very, very important for the drivers at the front and the second in the pack to stay as close as you can into the rear bubble of the car in front, to make sure that you keep pushing it along, because two cars together work faster than one, and the closer you go together, the quicker that speed will go. Now rolling into turn 3 and 4, we've only got one corner to go before the beginning of the race here tonight at Talladega. I'm very, very excited for this one. It's one hopefully we can carry on our streak of green flag runs, but Talladega I'm not as hopeful, because it is a track that does lend itself a lot of incidents. So we'll see how far we can go green. Before our first caution of the night, David Reed on the inside will be controlling it with the iRacing start zone. Both drivers on the outside and the inside will have an equal chance of starting. Once they get into the restart zone, the flag will drop at any random point, marked by the Geico branding on the right hand side of the track. We do have quite a long run. There we can see the Geico branding on the right hand wall. So it looks like the drivers go past it, as we're still rolling. And it looks like we go green here tonight at Talladega Motor Speedway. For lap 1, it looks like we have 4 drivers there. Our top 4 kind of breaking away straight away. Over though Nick Cleo switching down to the inside, followed by Jake Vanoski. So it looks like on the outside line, Garrett Hall has been left in dust, really, as the driver behind him didn't quite get connected up, so he drops down to the inside. So already this is turning into a single line race. Dominic DeLeo trying to get... Oh, he's right all over the bumper there of David Reed. However, David Reed has got the lead at the moment. Garrett Hall is toggled all the way down the order, now back in 13th place here tonight. Dude's already gone super, super far down. David Reed, though, your current leader, that's exactly the start he would have wanted here tonight. Although Dominic DeLeo is all over his bumper. However, will DeLeo try and... Because we know DeLeo is in the run for the championship. And he knows the higher points he gets, the more chance he will get to catch up to the leaders and have a chance in the championship. However, though, making a move so early on is not really the place you want to be. Leaders, you can't save fuel because you're already flat pedal to the metal. You can't let go of that throttle. However, though, the drivers behind will have to lift. Because of the draft behind them, they'll be sucked in. They'll need to lift in order to not hit the car in front of them very hard. But there's an opportunity to save some fuel there. However, though, Garrett Hall on the outside line is making it work. He's starting to come back of the order. Now into P6. On the outside line. So it looks like the outside is starting to get a little bit of a run now. The inside line isn't looking as strong as it was, but it is still leading at the moment. Will more drivers choose to take the outside line, or will it stay as it is? Also move up to block the run, try and hold their position. David Reed still our leader on that 3 of 60. As we can see, some spaces are starting to gap out there between Nick Leo and Jake Vanoski in particular, which is meaning the inside line isn't getting a good of a run. I think that's Butch Taylor having a little look on the outside line, maybe to call off his engine a little bit because it's getting a little bit hot. Or he's having a look at an overtake to take it 3 wide. Garrett Hall, though, on the outside line is still side by side with Jake Vanoski for 4th place on track here today. And it looks like Dominic DeLeo breaks to the outside line. He wants that outside line. He wants to be the leader of that outside line as Garrett Hall moves in, as Nick Leo moves across as well. Now our 2 leaders, David Reed and Nick Leo, your front 2. The outside line is making its way back up and is looking a favourable line. Nick Leo is quite an edge there, as it looks like we go 3 wide there. Garrett Hall choosing to take the outside line. He doesn't quite have the run. The middle line is going to be stronger. And now you can see he's kind of left in the dust there. He's going to tumble back down the order, so all the effort he made will go for nothing. They're still 3 wide because he just can't find a gap to go back into. Though Nick Leo choosing back down to the inside line to cover off David Reed. Very, very solid job from him. Nick Leo, your new leader, coming out of turn 4 on lap 4. As we're still 2 wide. Haven't seen any kind of jostling so far. Seems pretty clean as it stands. This league does have a reputation of being very, very clean. Many races this season we've gone without a caution here tonight. So, will that be able to happen again? As I said before, I'm not as hopeful as there is on other tracks. However, anything could happen. Could be possible, could be not possible. We could have 10 cautions. God knows. However, so it looks like that is... Who's that on the outside line? Somebody has chosen to break to the outside line. I'm trying to work out who that is. Is that Dominic DeLeo making it 3 wide into turn 3? It is, but the outside line isn't looking very strong. It looks like now that middle line is looking where it's at. And once again, that third line just hasn't really worked for these drivers. Nick Leo, though, is now controlling the pack out in front. I don't know if that's where he wants to be. However, though, we'll take a quick update on Jared Reed, who's made his way up 6 spots from the race started. He's currently on that top line as he's trying to make it work. He only has 3 people there. There's 2 people on the middle line, so in theory, the outside line should have a better run. As they're running that top groove there, right up against the wall. It's kind of the riskiest strategy, really. Because in the middle line, you can't have cars on left and right, but if you hit the wall, you're straight down the order. And especially when you're further down the grid, that could mean you lose that draft. But when you lose the draft here at Talladega, it is game over. You have to hope for a caution. But with this league's reputation, I'm not quite sure that would happen very swiftly. As it looks like that top line turns into the middle line there, running that middle groove. He's side drafting, sucking the doors off. Actually, not quite. Leaving a little bit of a gap, which is very smart from him because he doesn't want to make his way up straight away. He doesn't want to get quite as close to the drivers at this stage in the race, as we're only on lap 7 of 60, not even a sixth of the way through the race here tonight. Maybe as we get further down the race, we might get some more side-by-side action, some more side drafting. We'll have to wait and see. However, though, Jared Reed is making his way up. So Jared Reed on the outside line. And Nick Cleo on the inside. The 2 championship leaders at the moment. Your 2 file leaders. Making our way around now to cap out lap 7, coming on to lap 8. Not very much overtaking is going on. However, we all know anything can just turn into absolute chaos at any moment at this track. One driver steps out of line and just creeps slowly to the right or to the left, maybe goes into the apron. Can cause a mass pendulum, or not even a pendulum effect, just a domino effect of all the drivers being collected because you're going so quick here. You can cap out even at 200 miles an hour. We're going to pull up our dashboard to see how quick these drivers are going tonight. Jared Reed on the outside line, currently going 192 miles an hour there, going into turn 4. Nick Leo kind of matching that, going 189 in the mid-speed. We'll have to see what speed he gets up to at the end of the straightaway. But very quick these drivers are going. And the quicker you are, the longer those brake distances are going to be. So if there's a crash in front of you, that's less of a chance. You have to react to the incident and slow down before it finishes. 190 miles an hour there. Very quick. All of our drivers are still in that pack. You can see a little bit of side-by-side action. Maybe they're trying to go out of line. Because if you get too close to the driver in front, you can start to overheat your engine as that oil temp and water temperatures gets a little bit too high. So you got to duck out of line and give that radiator just a little bit of fresh air to try and cool down that engine, because when you're right behind a driver, there's not that much air going through, as it looks like Jared Reed on the outside line is getting a good run. Now, will Nick Leo be able to get past in the tri-oval, as it looks like both DeLeo and Jared slice off Nick Leo there, not giving them a chance. So now Jared Reed is your new leader, all the way down from P14. He's made his way up 13 spots here tonight. It's now our top runner here on lap 10 of 60. For a sixth of the way through the race, we had 3 wide, 2 wide, and even a little bit of single file at the start. Everything has been happening here tonight. As always, though, we're expecting 1 stop from these drivers. Not really a 2 stop, because the tyres don't make much of a difference at this track. So really, the strategy is just trying to stretch it out as long as possible fresh tyres might be a shout on the restart, maybe to get a better start than your competitors around you. But if no one else took it, you're going to be so far down the order on a green-white checkered attempt, it's just not going to work out for you because you won't be able to make those positions up. Because really, it's all about what line you pick, and how quickly or how closely you stay to the car ahead, and how much of a run you can get. It's just a run game, just trying to get that run, trying to get the maximum speed you can out of these cars, because in these plate racing tracks, it's all about the draft, and not your individual skill and how fast your individual car can go. It's how well you work together. Teamwork is key. You'll make friends. You might break friendships here. You may try and team up with somebody to try and get you to the front. But then, you know, it's anyone's game with the race. At the end of the day, nobody is friends out on the racetrack. So you have to think in your back of your mind, maybe he's going to try and screw me over at the end. If you're a run to the line, side by side, he might squeeze you down to the apron. Because, you know, the win is really what matters there. As it looks like we go 4 wide for a minute there. Jared Reed looks like he's trying to split off the files. However, though, Nick Cleo on the inside has a run. Coming into turn 1, as it looks like he's able to sneak past Jared Reed there. However, though, the outside line is looking strong through the mid-corner and the exit. Will they be able to get that time back? We'll have to wait and see. We're still 3 wide further down the pack. Oh, and that's a big wreck there. The number 13 swiping across. I believe that was Ansaya. I can't believe the caution hasn't come out yet. However, though, it didn't happen on the racing surface, but it looks like we still go green here tonight. 2 drivers out of the race, and we're still green flag running on lap 12. As we're showing up in the incident, Garrett Hall and Aaron Sayer are showing involved in that incident. Very, very unlucky for them. No caution, no opportunity to get repairs. So, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, I've said that about 5 times too much in that sentence. However, they'll be back to the virtual hauler because we have no fast repairs here tonight. That goes back to one of my points before. Any sort of aero damage on these cars will take you off like a couple miles an hour, which may mean the difference between getting 3rd place and then 10th, because you want every single inch of speed from these cars. So it looks like we're going 3 wide there. But Jared Reed is getting squeezed up into the wall there as we nearly go 4 wide here tonight. Jared Reed on the outside line is left out to dry. So I think he'll try and cut back into the outside line as he shuffle back to the back of the grid of the pack at the moment. Nick Cleo is still your leader. David Reed backing him up in 2nd place here tonight. We're seeing Cartelins try a lot of things there. We see him ducking out of the line a lot in that bright red machine. He's trying his absolute best to make his way up those positions, but every time he does it, it seems like it just hurts him even more as he gets shuffled back down the pack, and he's straight back to the back of the grid again. David Reed on pole as well. I know, it's absolutely incredible. You don't usually see him on pole position, do you? And it's definitely a sight to see. That is a very competitive league. But with the qualifying at Talladega, really it isn't about skill. It's about your teamwork in the race. And that's what brings home the points. As it looks like the 23 of Colton Lanford there is leading that outside line, getting very, very close to some drivers on the inside line there. There's only 2 drivers there, only Butch Taylor helping him out. So I think this may go single file very, very shortly for a while. Which means your top 3 is Nick Cleo, David Reed, Jake Benoski, and also Kevin Haas and Stephen Gibson, your top 5 at the moment. However, though, it looks like the outside line is starting to get a little bit of a side draft and is slowly making their way up. As we're pretty much going single file here tonight on lap 16 of 60. Our top 3 remains the same. Highest climber at the moment, Colton Lanford, in 6th place at the moment, heading out that outside line. As it looks like we go 3 wide there for a second. Colton Lanford kind of splitting the lanes there. However, it looks like we've gone back single file once again for a little bit. Colton Lanford on the outside line, currently in 5th place. As he's slowly working his way up as Carter Linz backs out, making it 3 cars on the outside line. 3 cars is looking just as powerful as the 14 old cars on the inside line. Just looking the doors off those cars, trying to get any kind of draft they can to slowly work their way up here tonight. I think he sees the gap behind Jake Vinosky, but that is slowly going to close up, I imagine. We're heading our way into almost a 3rd race distance. Here on lap 20. We're still 2 wide. Oh, that's a massive wreck there. Collecting 3 cars on the racing surface on lap 20 here. Cars ducking onto the apron. And that's our first caution of the night. Out of nowhere, something happened on that outside line that caused an incident to happen. I think we've got to get a replay of that. But here we are watching Carter Linz. Oh, looks like Butch Taylor snaps down to the inside line, hits the 53 of Stephen Gibson, collects Carter Linz on the outside lines. They all go into that outside wall. Big damage on all 3 of those cars there. Luckily, I don't think anyone else was involved in that incident. However, that brings out the first caution of the night. As that's 3 more drivers. If they can't get that car repaired, they'll be sent back to the virtual hauler on lap 21 of 60. We'll have to wait and see now if some of the drivers choose to take the opportunity to pit now, as it may be able to stretch their pit time to the end of the race. As it looks like pretty much all our drivers are going down to pit road here tonight. As we switch to our pit lane cam, we can see the drivers rolling into their pit stalls. They'll have to nail that pit entry as quick as they can, as some drivers may be able to nail it harder than others. Some may overshoot their pit stall, which means they have to reverse, and that'll take up more time. So it looks like Nick Lear is first coming out of pit road. David Reed has a slow stop. Jake Vinosky jumps him. As even more drivers and shuffle down. Dominic DeLeo still there in the pit stall. Jared Reed being able to get past. I'm not sure if he's doing some repairs on that car. But it looks like the 22 is not coming out anytime soon. still your highest climber, Colton Lanford, in 6th place. Started 16th, now in 6th place. So he's up 10 spots from where he started. A pretty good race from him so far. Hopefully we'll see more of him later on in this race. A 25 of Lanford though is looking very, very good. And maybe in contention later on in the race, we'll have to wait and see. However, another point to note here on lap 22. The drivers have chosen to take their pit stops, which may mean now that they may not have to pit again in this race. They may choose to pit at the end for fresh tyres, as I said, but I think the general consensus is that none of the drivers are going to pit from now on, so that's their one and only pit stop out of today's race. The order stands: Nick Leo, Vanoski, David Reed, Matt Kleeman and Nick Vasquez, your top 5. As I believe we are 2 to green as it stands. Are any more drivers down in pit road? It says that Stephen Gibson is still on the pit lane there, so it looks like he's trying to get some repairs finished. But will he come out before the pace car as it's coming now into the tri-oval? Or will he have to take the bullet and go a lap down? Does the 53. As it looks like he is staying in pit road there, but he hasn't quit out of the race just yet. So it makes me think that he is trying to get those repairs done. And then, as it looks like that front right is damaged there. That's going to take a long time to really fix, which is not ideal for the 53. Will he be able to get out before the green flag? We're 1 to green here tonight. The lights on top of the pace car have gone, and we're now going back into our driving formation here to go green on lap 24. Up 60 here tonight, approaching the midway mark. Nick Cleo is still leading. Up 5 spots from race started in the 69 dual-back machine and the 7 of Jake Vanoski. In the alley, marked Camaro on the outside line. An all Chevrolet top 4 here tonight. And then the lone Mustang Ford machine in P5 of Nick Vasquez. Your highest Toyota driver, Butch Taylor, 1 of 2 here tonight. Butch Taylor and Tim Johnston are the only Toyota Camry drivers here tonight. Predominantly Chevrolet and a couple Fords dotted about. So it looks like at the moment Chevrolet is bringing home the big points for the Constructor Championship, as I'm sure they have been throughout the season. However though, our championship leader Jared Reed all the way down in P13. We saw him at the front about 6 laps into the race, but it looks like he's fallen all the way back and is now at the rear of the pack here tonight on that inside line, which is not where he wants to be. He's going to start from scratch again and work his way up back from the beginning. However though, as we round out turn 4, the pace car will be going into pit road any moment now. As pace car ducks down his pit road, a long run before the restart zone here at Talladega Motor Speedway. That's a long time to hold that speed. However though, as we make our way into the tri-oval, only a few more seconds to go before we reach that Geico branding on the right hand side of the track. As we're making our way round now, you'll be able to see it in just a second on the left hand side. There it is, and the green flag flies. Nick Cleo on the inside line getting a good start there. Jake Vanoski kind of left him just a little bit. Driving behind him, not quite backing him up, as David Reed is a little bit closer behind as he gets a better run on the inside line as Jake Vanoski ducks down into the low line, abandoning the high line. Not quite choosing it today. As it looks like Matt Kleeman is rounding out that outside line. Currently in 6th place, he works his way. However though, I'm sure down this back straightaway, he'll have a massive run and make up a couple of positions. As he is, he's up into 5th place. Provisionally there, Carter Lynn's on the outside line, choosing to duck down to the low line. Doesn't quite fancy it, so it's just Matt Kleeman. Butch Taylor having a little bit of a look. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. No, he ducks down to the inside line. So it's just Colton Lanford and Matt Kleeman. However though, those two cars working very, very well together, making up those positions. There is a gap beneath them. Will they choose to slot down into the line? They do. So it looks like here, one lap after the restart, we've gone single file here tonight. Nick Leo in the 69 heading out the pack coming into turn 1. There's a still single file here coming on to lap 26 of 60. As it looks like, who's that? That's Colton Lanford. He's been pushed out to the outside line. Will he try and side draft Matt Clayman? They're trying to work together. Maybe he'll make his way up positions. But I think in that current state that he's in at the moment, he'll fall back. As he has no help on the outside line. But he's now starting to fall back just a tiny bit. Now side by side with Butch Taylor in the 33 machine. Colton Lanford not making a brilliant choice there going to the outside line. Maybe he was forced out, we don't know. But whatever it is, it hasn't helped his race at all. And he's now battling side by side with the 11 of Tim Johnston. He has a gap. Will he choose it? Yes, he does. He switches back down to the inside line as we go single file once again. Actually, no. Colton Lanford is trying it again. And number 25, very, very persistent to make that outside line work. However, this time chooses better of it. As he switches to the outside line again, very, very aggressive with that turn. He's battling side by side now with Butch Taylor, then Carter Linz, then Matt Clayman. He does have a little bit of a run there, but I don't think it's quite close enough to take advantage of that side draft just as yet. You can see him trying to close that gap between both doors, because the closer you are, the more draft and the more that inside line car will be able to carry you along as he's side by side with the 19 of Matt Clayman. Colton Lanford hanging it out on the outside line, still side by side with the 19 as they got equal runs coming out of turn 2. Short and pack already. It looks like 3 drivers here tonight have fallen out, being Stephen Gibson, Aaron Sayer and Garrett Hall. We're still left out on track. As Colton Lanford is still side by side with Matt Clayman. He's looking for a gap to slot back in, I believe, as it looks like Matt Clayman has kind of dropped off the back there of Kevin Haas. I'm not sure if he'll be able to make up that gap once again, but if he can't, that would mean that front 5 is released to have its own battle. As I say that, it looks like Matt Clayman is starting to close back that gap again. Going to go on board with Matt Clayman in the number 19 Pale Horse Racing Machine. As they're in 5th gear, trying to catch back up to that lead pack, which I think he has done quite nicely. As just coming back onto the rear end of number 3 Ford Mustang Machine of Kevin Haas. You can hear that lifting off there. Just trying to make sure he controls that run and doesn't go into the back of him, keeping the distance in case an incident happens ahead, so he has the time to duck high or duck low to avoid damage to his car as we go on to lap 30 of 60, the halfway mark here tonight at Talladega Motor Speedway.
That part going high.
It looks like we might have some lap traffic to contend with. Is that Stephen Gibson on the outside line? Yes, it is. He is quite an amount of laps down there. You can see him just staying up onto that high line, coordinating with the drivers to make sure that he stays out of any incidents. But you can see 170 miles an hour there. You can see he's quite down on speed. He does duck down to the low line, but I'm sure that won't last very long. So we can see the 53 is very, very damaged. And that damage I was talking about earlier with no fast repairs is brutal at tracks like Talladega, because it kills your straight line speed and you can't hang on to the back of the pack as you just fall slower and slower and slower. 175 miles an hour rounding out the corner as he now falls out of the draft of Arancea. Very, very unfortunate for him here tonight. Going back to our leaders, Nick Leo. However, Colton Hanford, though, is still trying it in the 25. He ducks out, but he knows he hasn't got a run or anyone to help him. As I say that, though, Jared Reed is choosing to go to the outside line, side drafting there with Greg Mitchell in number 2 machine. Both championship contenders there, battling at the back of the pack. Just not quite what you see all of the time here tonight. As Matt Kleeman is also trying it on the high line. I'm not quite as to sure why. Maybe he chooses to edge out the pack, I'm not quite sure. As Colton Lanford sticks his nose out as well. And Jared Reed chooses to go down to the low line once again. Unfortunately, Kleeman doesn't quite have that luxury, as he's just hanging out there on the outside line. As Jared Reed be able to get past him, there is a gap behind Jared Reed. Will he be able to slip into that gap? We'll have to wait and see. No, he can't. DeLeo closes it up. Arancea looking to help Kleeman on the outside line, but I'm sure, there you go. Kleeman ducks down to the low line, and it's square one once again. Moving back up to our leaders on lap 33 of 60. Nick Leo in the 69 machine has led the most laps here tonight, I believe. However, though, right behind him, David Reed, our pole sitter here tonight, is still looking strong in the 52 machine. Well, he still doesn't have any damage to that car. It's both very, very clean. I think most of the cars, actually, in that pack are clean cars. All of the cars that were involved in wrecks, I don't believe, are back to the end of the field, with an exception, maybe, of DeLeo and Arancea. Over though Arancea, I think, is a lap or two down here tonight. However, though, it's starting to build up on that outside line. Colton Lanford edging it. Jared Reed in second there in the line. Is that, yes, that's Greg Mitchell as well in third place. With Dominic DeLeo on that outside line. Colton Lanford making his way around. He's up into fourth place now. Up 12 spots in the race, started provisionally side by side with Nick Vasquez. As Jake Vanoski moves to the middle. Maybe having a look at blocking the outside run, but chooses better of it. Is now the 25 side drafting Jake Vanoski for third place. Number 7 machine looking a little bit wobbly there. And a little bit indecisive. Couldn't quite make his mind up if he wanted to block the outside line or stay on the low line. The outside line working very, very well. Colton Lanford now is working his way back up to the front. That 4-car pack on the outside is doing bits there. Jared Reed doing a great job staying on the bumper of the number 14, of the 25, excuse me, of Colton Lanford, pushing him further and further up. As our outside line is now side by side with the inside. Colton Lanford and Nick Cleo, your top two. Jared Reed pushing that 25, as it looks like the front two are clear. Will they cut down to the low line? Lanford tries it. Splits to the inside. Still the outside line goes. It looks like they're sticking there. They're going to try and get everyone on the outside line in front, I think, who was there originally. But it looks like their time may be running out at front. Nick Leo on the inside line, pushed by David Reed. He's looking very, very strong once again, closing that gap. But the outside line is still just about ahead. Colton Lanford is looking like, if he finishes this lap in front, will lead lap, which means extra points in the championship, as long as you lead a lap here. in this series. That's the points that goes to it. 25 laps to go. 188 miles an hour coming down the front straightaway. Is now a side-by-side once again. Nick Leo edging out Colton Lanford, as it looks like Lanford won't get those lap-led points quite yet, with 24 laps to go. You can see some drivers ducking out of the queue. As I said before, that would be to cool their engine off, give a lot of fresh air into that radiator to help cool down that engine and make sure it doesn't overheat, because if it overheats it blows up, and something is telling me that's not a very good thing, and I don't think the drivers would be wanting it here tonight. Colton Lanford dropping back to 4th place here tonight, battling Nick Vasquez in the 23 machine. Here you can see your favourite drivers. And if you're watching, put in the chat who you're supporting, who you're cheering on here tonight at the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series. Round 10 of 12 here tonight. As we're still too wide with 23 laps to go. 191 miles an hour on that outside line, going very, very fast as always. Talladega, the quickest track on the calendar in real NASCAR, and I'm pretty sure the quickest as well on the iRacing service. We've had one caution so far, which for Talladega I think is relatively good. One caution is very, very good here tonight, but it looks like that's Aaron Sayer and I believe Stephen Gibson there. Do you know that isn't Stephen Gibson? Who's that? That's Tim Johnston there. Both drivers falling off the back of the pack. Not quite as sure why they're there, but it looks like Dominic DeLeo is making it 3 wide further back. Momentarily there. Outside line not working really together as much as you would want to see. However, with 21 laps to go, that is still 21 laps to get out to the front and get those lap-led points and to get the coveted victory here tonight. But also, we have to say, the skill, of course there's teamwork that's involved, but really, luck is a massive, massive factor. You really want to be in the right place at the right time, and that's how you win these races, is really kind of luck and sort of experience maybe just a little bit as to what line you choose and how you play your final laps, where you want to be in the final few laps. But really, right behind the leader, in single file is where you want to be. So David Reed at the moment is in perfect position, if this can stay the same. He has a really, really good shot at getting a draft. Breaking out into turn 4. Maybe diving to the inside, maybe around the outside of Nick Leo. Side drafting him. Getting a last battle to the line. Bad Talladega. At the end, we see 3, 4, 5. I've seen 6 wide once. So it's definitely one for battles. However, though, Colton Lanford on the outside line, making up positions up into 3rd place again in the 25 machine. Shuffling back down to 4th momentarily. He's side by side with Jake Vanoski. As that front pack now is just getting smaller and smaller, as drivers are starting to get whistled away. Johnston, Aaron Sayer 5 laps down, Stephen Gibson 10 laps down from our leaders here tonight. However though, 19 laps remaining crossing the line. Nick Leo is still leading this race. As it stands, he will regain the lead in the championship. Jared Reed currently down in 6th place in the 2nd on that outside line. However, the outside line isn't quite where they want to be at the moment. As it stands, as I said, Nick Leo would take over the lead of the championship. Jared Reed being shuffled down. Dominic DeLeo sitting back in 12th place as well, 11th place. That's really, not ideal in this point situation. Especially being slightly behind, you want to maximise every weekend to get all the points you can. However, Jared Reed ducking out of line as it looks like he's lost his spot on the outside line. Ducking back as he's battling with Dominic DeLeo behind him as well. DeLeo and the 22 machine at the rear of the pack battling with Jared Reed. Both championship contenders here tonight battling at the back of the pack once again. Going back up to the front, David Reed is still pushing Nick Leo. He's being very, very patient behind that 69. He's going to be waiting till the final lap to pounce on him. He's going to wait till his moment, but he's going to stick him behind. Very, very intelligent from him. Managing his race and trying to keep as much in control as he can. With 18 laps to go here tonight on lap 42 of 60 here today. On that outside line, Colton Lanford has dropped back. Greg Mitchell is now heading out that outside line as they're starting to push their way forward. Jared Reed in third, as it looks like he's pushing that 22 to push the 2. To try and get any kind of speed they can to try and make it back up to the front now. We've had battles, people trying to get up to the front all race here tonight, but it looks like it's the number 2, Greg Mitchell, doing it this time. Up into third place now, coming into the tri-oval with 16 laps to go as we cross the line. As it looks like we go 2 wide now for the lead of the race. Greg Mitchell out in first place here tonight, coming into turn 1. Dominic DeLeo absolutely ramming the back of that 2 machine, getting any ounce of speed, as it looks like all 4 people on the outside line are able to get out in front of Nick Leo. Nick Leo shuffled down to 5th place here tonight. So your new top 5, Greg Mitchell, Dominic DeLeo, followed by Jared Reed, Colton Lanford and Nick Leo, all the way from 1st to 5th in a lap. That's Talladega for you. Greg Mitchell putting in the work, Dominic DeLeo putting in the pushing. As we're now 15 laps to go as we cross the line, lap 45 of 60. David Reed battling slightly further behind with Jake Vanovsky there. However, David Reed is able to stay out ahead. As it looks like Carter Linz is down pit road here tonight. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. Maybe it's fuel. Maybe, because of those first pit stops, the drivers are having to pit again. Maybe the second pit stop stage with 15 laps to go is going to happen. Will they go down to pit road here this time by? We'll have to wait and see. Greg Mitchell edging out the pack. Dominic DeLeo and Jared Reed in the number 5 machine rolling out your top 3. There are 14 laps to go here at Talladega Motor Speedway. Colton Lanford is still having a go. He's all the way up into, what is that, 4th place here tonight. Equaling Greg Mitchell on the highest climbers. Greg Mitchell in 1st place here. Starting in 13th, now in 1st. Up 12 spots from race started. So is Colton Lanford, up 12 spots from race started. P4 he is now. David Reed up 11 spots from where he began. As it looks like the 25 of Colton Lanford choose to go down pit road. So does Vasquez, Taylor and Kleeman there in the background. Slowing down for pit road, the number 25 machine wants to get every kind of second he gets out of it. However though, there isn't many people behind him to help him. If he gets a quick stop, he won't have anyone pushing him round, which will mean he'll fall back to the back of the line. As Greg Mitchell, your current leader, may choose to go down pit road this time. Only your top 7 hasn't pit here tonight. Well, they choose to go down pit road now for their final dash of fuel. Going 193 miles an hour down the backstretch. I'm pretty sure that is the quickest we've gone all race here tonight. Dominic DeLeo still pushing at number 2 of Mitchell, as it looks like they stay out for another lap. So one more time by, they say. There is a lap car in front there, that's Stephen Gibson. Still 10 laps down at the moment, which is not really very good for him, really. We usually see him in the mid-pack, kind of near to the front. However, though, this time he was involved in an early incident, dropping him out of the race, and unfortunately no caution as well, just to rub it in, smashing into that inside wall at the end of the apron. And because it wasn't on the racing surface, the iRacing officials chose to not bring out the caution flag. As we're still watching Greg Mitchell, could be out of turn 4, will he pit this time now? No, he doesn't. They stay out for another time here tonight. So maybe the people at the back, these guys now, your top 4. Nick Leo as well, though. He's been leading. How is he being able to save fuel as much as those guys? Or will they have enough fuel to make it to the end? Maybe those drivers that just pit now didn't pit during the caution. I'm pretty sure they have. But I may be mistaken. Will they pit this time by? Or will they have enough fuel to make it to the end? We're going to pull up our pit strategy board here to just double check, because it looks like your top 3 have all pitted on lap 21 during that caution, and so is everybody else in that top 10. So they should have the same amount of fuel in those cars, but it looks like some are choosing to pit early and work together and try and push as hard as they can. However, though, I think the strategy is in staying as long as possible, because on that lighter fuel, your car is going to have a quicker top speed. You'll be able to go quicker, edging out more time, so the longer you can spend on the light fuel loads, usually the better, but it all counts on how many people you have to work with you. That top 7 pack still working closely together to make sure they can edge every single tenth of a second they can to stay ahead of those people who short pitted them. With 10 laps to go here at Talladega Speedway, it could be anyone's game. Different pit strategies we're seeing at Talladega, not quite something you always see. Your top 7 choosing to stretch it out as long as they can, until they have no drops of fuel left in that tank here tonight. As we're rounding out turn 3 and turn 4, will they pit this time by? Or will they stay out for another one? Your leader Mitchell, everyone dives down pit road, with an exception, I believe, of Kevin Haas, who chooses to stay out. Side by side, DeLeo and Mitchell into the pit lane. As it looks like Jared Reed has spun on the on the entry of pit road. The number 5 machine having an absolute nightmare there. He's taking a second there. I think he may have stalled the engine, which doesn't help as well. Kevin Haas choosing to stay out. David Reed now in the 52 machine having the longest pit stall. Who will be out first? You can already see that's Greg Mitchell on the way out in the number 2 machine, followed shortly by David Reed. Jake Vinosky and DeLeo battling, but I think Jake Vinosky just about has that. We're going to switch to them now. Yeah, Jake Vinosky managed to edge out. David Reed has a spin on the inside of pit road on the exit. 52 machine not having a very good time here tonight. However, though, Nick Leo is still in his pit stall. So he looks like he may have missed his pit stall to begin with, and that pit stop is just getting longer and longer for the 69 machine. All of our championship contenders are having an absolute nightmare at the moment. Greg Mitchell is out in clean air out in front. However, though, DeLeo and Vinosky are working very, very closely together. 8 laps to go at the line. Will they be able to catch Greg Mitchell out in front? I believe they can. They'll be able to have an absolutely chonking run at the number 2 machine. So will they go past? Will they stick him behind? Will they carry the run? Speed past him. We'll have to wait and see now. However, though, I think the battle for the lead is going to be with these top 3. There's David Reed. And he's trying to tag on to the back of Aaron Sayer and Matt Kleeman there. But I think he's a little bit too far back for contention here tonight. So it looks like your top 3 are in the running. That's Mitchell, Vinosky and DeLeo. Both Mitchell and DeLeo battling for the championship here tonight. It's exactly what Mitchell would have wanted coming into this race with 240 points, 15 points behind Jared Reed. Jared Reed having an absolute nightmare there at the end, down in 8th place. And Greg Mitchell out in first. That's going to close that point gap. However, though, the time has come. Greg Mitchell is getting freight trained by DeLeo and Vanovsky. So now your top three filling back into single file lines. 8 laps to go here at Talladega Motor Speedway. David Reed looks to be 5 seconds behind, but slowly closing on our leaders. So it looks like the pack he's in is a little bit quicker. Edging out maybe a tenth or two a lap. But with 7 laps remaining, at the moment that won't be enough for him to catch the end of the pack. Your top 3 now. Vanovsky, DeLeo, Mitchell in 3rd place. We can see lap cars out in front. We can see that 3 pack of cars behind. 4.7 the gap is. They've already taken a tenth out of him. However, though, they really want to be catching half a second to a second a lap to really have a chance of catching these top 3 here tonight. And at the moment that isn't looking like it's going to happen. So as I said before, the battle for the win of the race looks like it's going to be between these top 3. Greg Mitchell is out behind now. Literally any one of these top 3 could win. To the line, it depends who has the best run. At the moment, Mitchell is in a really good position here in the number 2 machine. He can chill in behind. He can stretch out that gap as he has no risk of being overtaken himself. He can drop back, get a run on that 22 machine, and absolutely steam past them if he's not blocked on the outside line or on the inside. Maybe he can fake a move to the outside, trick the drivers into blocking them, and then moving down to the inside line. 6 laps to go down the backstretch. They're now contending with some lap traffic. 69 of Nick Cleo giving way to our leaders here tonight. Nick Cleo 1 lap down now in the 69 machine in 10th place. So it's gone from looking like he's going to take the lead of the championship all the way down to losing even more points coming into our last 2 rounds. Same with Jared Reed as well. Not as bad for him. 7th place, 32 seconds behind our leaders. It looks like he's chilling on his own. Doesn't have much help there. As now we've got to battle Carter Lins to get past now. So it looks like Nick Leo is tagging on to our top 3. But he isn't in contention for the race, ladies and gentlemen. The dual back 69 machine is a lap down. Will he try and take those drivers back and get the lap back? Or will he just try and chill in behind and see the drama out in front of him? Still ever so close, your top 3. Greg Mitchell chilling in behind, stretching out that gap just slightly. As it looks like our top 3 has now turned into 5 cars. As they're starting to edge that gap back out to our second pack of Reed. Tagging along with Aaron Sayer and Matt Kleeman. We can see the yellow car just in the background there. But that gap is now 5 seconds once again. As they're now passing Kevin Haas. Jake Vanovsky, your current leader. Vanovsky hasn't won a race this season yet. DeLeo and Mitchell, actually, I'd have to check on that one. But I believe Mitchell may not have won a race. He has been on the podium, but I don't think he has won a race yet this season. No, he has not run a race this season. So, your first and third place at the moment, Jake Vanovsky and Greg Mitchell, both haven't won a race yet this season. They want to go down victory lane for the first time ever in this season. And in the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series, they're now crossing the line shortly to go 2 laps to go here at Talladega Motor Speedway. Any one of these top 3 could win the race. I'm looking at Mitchell in particular. He's in a really good place. Dominic DeLeo in the middle. Also a good place behind Vanovsky, who's having to watch those mirrors constantly on those final dying laps, as the 2 machine will be right up in there. And he has the strategy game at the moment. He hasn't got a risk of being overtaken or losing any positions, so he may drop back and then get that run. DeLeo has to anticipate that and then plan his blocks and plan his moves to combat that. This is now a game of strategy, so you can see Mitchell dropping back, as I just said. He's dropping back on the exits to get the run that he needs, as it looks like we have a tussle behind as Mitchell's caught in that. So it looks like the lap cars are having a battle as they go 3 wide, nearly 4 wide here at Talladega Motor Speedway, as it's now starting to die out once again as we go single file. Nick Leo, I don't think, is choosing to get involved in the battle. He's going to stick behind Mitchell and follow him. Do whatever he does. However, though, coming on to the final lap of the race, the white flag flies. Dominic Leo barging his way down the inside of Jake Vanosky. Jake Vanosky forced onto the outside line, going back to the end of the line here tonight. Mitchell also able to get past in the 2 machine. However, though, he could still have a chance if he managed to duck back into the line, which he does. He slips back into the gap behind Mitchell. So now, DeLeo, Mitchell, Vanosky, your top 3 coming into the final lap here tonight. You're just watching as it looks like Vanosky has broken out of the draft. He's side drafting there. He's got Leo behind him as well, and Kevin Haas helping him. DeLeo moves to block the outside line. Jake Vanosky moves to the inside as he gets the lead back now. We're going to have a run to the line. DeLeo on the outside. Mitchell is still behind. He could still have a run, as it looks like Mitchell is drowned out behind. He won't have a go at it. It'll be between DeLeo and Vanosky. Vanosky has the lead at the moment. He edges out. And it looks like Greg Mitchell's able to get past Vanosky as well. Crossing the line, Dominic DeLeo is your winner here tonight, followed by Mitchell and Jake Vanosky, your top 3. What a race, ladies and gentlemen. As David Reed crossed the line to finish in 4th, Nick Vasquez crossed the line to finish in 5th place, closely followed by Colton Nanford in 6th. An absolutely brilliant race from Dominic DeLeo, winning last week as well. He's on a 2-win race streak now at the moment, winning his 3rd race of the season.
I don't want to wreck everybody, so it's good clean driving, nice race to the end. Nice win, DeLeo.
Remember, top 3 to the waiting booth, Janet.
Just have to cool down from that one. Action all the way to the end of this race here tonight. The pit strategies at the end, failing a lot of the drivers, making mistakes in pit road that crucially lost them the chance. Your big losers, 69 of Nick Leo and Jared Reed as well. David Reed was looking very strong throughout this race. Still gets a strong result in 4th place, but really looking through that race, he was looking at possibly higher, as it looks like Vanosky is now... Dominic DeLeo is doing his burnouts now in front of that restart zone and onto the grass. As a very, very... the rear end missing on the 22 machine, as Jake Vanosky gives a little bit of a love tap there to the 22. I'm sure he would have liked it, and has a bit to the drama a little bit at the end of this race. But wow. Absolutely incredible. So now we're going to pull up our race results here tonight. So we can see our classification. Dominic DeLeo coming home in 3rd place. Greg Mitchell coming home in 2nd. Jake Vanosky in 3rd. David Reed in 4th. Nick Vasquez, your top 5. We're now going to go into the driver interviews here tonight. Jake Vanosky coming home in 3rd place. You're looking very, very strong in those final few laps. Just take us, like, what was going through your head really on the last few laps. You had it coming into the final lap. You were leading, but then it just all went south for you since then. What were you thinking on those closing laps?
Yeah, that was a little nuts. I know there was only us 3 in that final group, so I was just trying to keep it steady out front. Nick Leo gave me a hell of a push on the back stretch on the end. I ended up splitting them. I had a little bit of a gap, but I just got too far out front. And like I said, there's only 3 of us there, so I didn't want to wreck everybody by throwing a block on the last lap. But definitely fun racing up there with those guys.
Yeah, you weren't up the front quite a lot of the race. You were kind of chilling in the mid-pack near to the back. Was that kind of the strategy? Were you trying to chill in behind? If there was any instance, just get out of the way and just make your way to the front to the end of the race. Was there any strategy going into this race?
There's a lot of strategy. I mean, these plate tracks are always, fuel comes down to fuel mileage, so you don't really want to be out front leading. You do burn a lot of fuel that way, so I just want to stay somewhere in the middle of the pack. You know, I ran third, fourth, somewhere around there most of the race, and that ended up being a good spot to be. Caution kind of helped, but we ended up being 10 laps short on fuel even in the draft. So I knew coming down, I just put a splash in just enough to get to the end.
Yeah,
2 right side tires, get some tread, and hope for the best.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, whew. Is there any friends, family, sponsors you'd like to give a shout out before we finish off?
I'd like to give a shout out to Butt Kicker for sponsoring us this season, being on board. It's always great to have them here. Next Level Racing, Chevrolet for having a fast car. You open the booth, you do a great job every week. So appreciate you up there, and all my friends and family that are watching.
Thank you, man. Hopefully, we can see you up onto the podium sometime soon with these last 2 races.
Absolutely, and shout out to my spotter Josh, my brother. He did a good job navigating me there at the end.
All right, see you, man.
See ya.
That was Jake Vanoski. Now your second place, Greg Mitchell, looking strong all the way throughout that race, taking the chances, edging out to that outside line, making it work as well throughout that race. What was your idea going into it?
Finley, first off, I was just trying to save fuel almost that whole race. That caution kind of came out at a bad spot. We were all about 5 laps short or so. So I was trying to save fuel on the front the first run, and then I really tried to save on the second run. I just couldn't do it, so decided to go and start racing the rest of that race with about 20 to go or so.
Yeah, we have to ask about those final few laps as well. Any person in that kind of top 3 could have won it, and you coming home in second place as well, running it to the line with Dominic DeLeo in those final few laps from your end. What was going on?
Yeah, that was really fun with Dom and Jake there. We were all swapping positions, and I had to go with somebody. So I followed Dom to the top side, and I was hoping to get alongside of him once we broke free of Jake, and just yeah, couldn't quite get there, but it was fun. They did a really good job of not wrecking.
Yeah, they did a really good job. But yeah, it was brilliant to watch, brilliant to commentate as well. Is there any friends, family, sponsors you would like to shout out before we sign off?
Yeah, thanks to Next Level and Butt Kicker for sponsoring the series. Thanks to you guys for running the show up in the booth, and thanks for the admins for running the league. And yeah, thanks for my drafting partners. I've drafted a lot with Dom and Jared today, so thanks to them for the help.
Yeah, so close to that win here tonight. Hopefully you can maybe get it within these last 2 races of the season. Let's hope.
Yeah, I keep trying. I'm there. I just haven't broken that plane yet. But
no. All right, see you, Greg.
All right, thank you.
So then, your winner here tonight, Dominic DeLeo. I thought you were out of the running, being involved in that early wreck, causing the first caution, but it looks like you're able to edge your way back through the field and win the race.
Yeah, I mean, Finley, you painted a good picture, but I was not involved in any wreck. I kept it clean the entire race.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so maybe that's some other colored car. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, no, our strategy kind of worked out perfect there. Just to kind of keep it clean until the end, and just, here at Talladega, you just want to have one final shot at the end to just put yourself there, and something will happen.
Yeah, it's just all about setting up that finish, and that's all it's about. And you were able to edge it out by just under half, or just over half tenth per second from Greg Mitchell in those final few laps. What was your strategy going into it?
So I mean, the fuel was weird just because I think we had, like, I had projected, I think it was like 28, 29 laps on a fuel run. So I was trying to save until lap 30, and Greg and I, Mitchell, kind of just had an understanding that we were all on the same strategy. So me and him were kind of set that before. So we were just trying to do a one stop. But then the caution came out like lap 24, and then we decided to come down, take some fuel up, obviously, put some fresh tires on it. But then we were going to save. So we came back down again to top off. Jared was kind of on the same strategy there too. And then we were trying to save, and then the first 10 laps, even with running 3/4 throttle, half throttle, staying in line with the draft, it really was clear that we weren't going to make it a whole fuel run. Make it, I think it was like 36 laps. So we decided to just go to the front. I would much rather come under green flag pit stops in the front because, as you saw, all it takes is one guy to lock them up or have a bad entry, and it kind of just your day can be over there. Took two rights and I think 9.5 gallons of fuel. So I think my pit stop was like 8 or 9 seconds, and I know Jake did the same thing, Greg did the same thing. So then it was just us three try to just keep up the speed, lap as many cars as we can if the caution came out. And then, just kept it clean to the final lap. And then on the final lap, my strategy in Talladega is if you can be behind a car coming out of 4, just because the run you get is just massive.
Yeah.
And that, the checkered flag is way further down a normal front stretch. So that worked out pretty well. I'm thankful that Jake didn't come up and try and knock me off because I think I was on his right quarter panel a little bit quicker than he thought. But he decided to not do that and try and drag race. But Greg, also had a run there, and then it was just me and Greg to the end, and we finished 1, 2, 3, and good fun final racing. So yeah, I'm just happy to get a win. It was a fun race there at the end.
Yeah, a really, really fun race. And you're the final man. Yeah, is there any friends, family, sponsors you'd like to give a shout out before we end the stream?
Yeah, no, I'd like to give a shout out to my wife, as always, supporting the hobbies. Tonight, I'd like to thank Greg Mitchell. He's been running with me in another league, and we're really excited about it and worked really well together. And thankful to him to keep us on the right strategy. And yeah, I don't know what kind of if you have my right paint scheme up there. It wasn't on last week, and I think it might be something on my end. But Magyar Bank does sponsor the car. Eat Sleep Race also sponsors Vegas Motorsports. Everybody at Rubbins Racing. You guys, Team Goon Squad, for putting on a good broadcast. Finley. And then I'd like to also thank Butt Kicker Next Level Racing for sponsoring the league. Jared, David, Steve, No Neck, everybody at the league. It's been fun, and get kind of hot here at the end, and hopefully the points races after this. I think I'm now tied with Nick and Jared. So last 2 races I think should be fun. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully we can see you back on the podium for Rockingham.
I appreciate it. Hope to see you too, Finley. Have a good night.
Have a good night. That was your top 3 here tonight, and that rounds out round 10 of the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series every Tuesday night, sponsored by Butt Kicker and Next Level Racing. My name is Finley Fitzsimmons. It's been a pleasure broadcasting once again, and we'll see you for round 11 next week at Rockingham.